First of all, thanks for coming in.
Of course.
My gosh, my big brother, Iddo Gavish, and you are a household name in town. I mean, I love the fact that Capice, that's Gavish. How'd you get that? Where'd that come from?
Capiche, that's Gavish. So in high school, a lot of friends couldn't say Gavish, or they just started nicknaming me, hey, Capiche. And you're walking down the hallway and say, hey, Capiche. And you turn around, what's up? And when we started doing all the marketing on TV and the radio, and I decided to catch a phrase, and we need something. So why not Capiche, that's Gavish?
And it took off.
It took off. It trademarked it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Glenn Lerner stuff.
That's right.
It's at that level.
That was
lighting in a bottle.
That was my go-to as a mark. How the heck did he do this? I studied what he did. I found the same guy who did his jingle, did mine. And you don't need to start. You don't need to come up and be unique in this. What am I trying to say? It's about, like what we talked about many times, consistency, and it's also about duplicating success. You don't need to come up and be the next inventor. You just need to figure out what works, what's successful, and just duplicate it. So.
Who are some people that you look up to, that you emulate, that you look at them and go, that guy's got it, that girl's got it?
Wow, that's a tough question. At this stage of my life, I don't think I do that as much. Well, the people that I have that are my mentors are nobody that you would know. They're not typically in town. They're out of state. A lot of people that I have a lot of respect for, that have done what I've done, or I wish I knew what they forgot about the subject, right? So I have those people, but they're not
Who
anyone.
Is it? It's okay.
Ellie Tena is one of them,
okay,
out of California. Just a great guy, great wealth of knowledge, and just a solid human being. And for me, it's very successful in business, and you can have can we use the word shit?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, we can?
We can
okay,
say
so,
shit. Yes,
so we can speak freely like we would normally speak?
Absolutely.
All right,
yes,
beautiful. So, people will be very successful in business and be a shitty father, a shitty mother, not have a good marriage life, or what have you. And I believe you can't just be one versus the other. You need balance in life. And he's one that also has achieved, I say also because I think I've done a pretty darn good job at it, to have that balance in his family and his career. And so that's something that's very important to me.
Which is huge for you. Yeah. And let's talk about family for a second.
Sure.
Let's talk about your kids. And I
don't think we have enough time, because I could brag about that for days, right?
In Cliff Notes version, about just your kids, where they're at right now, and Sherry, please, because she'll kill us if we don't talk about her.
So I have 4 kids. First and foremost, it's my wife, Sherry. We've been together since we're 18 years old, and we're married 34 years this summer. We have 4 amazing kids, 2 girls, 2 boys, Sivan, Talia, Noam, and Yoni. Sivan, my oldest, is big into this world of podcasts and social media and influencers, etc. She's recently become a mom and is married and lives in Israel. Talia, who's my second daughter, has 2 kids. So a boy and a girl, and she lives here in town, and she's also an influencer on TikTok. And then I have both my boys, Noam, who has now got into the business and got this crazy bug of real estate, and he's actually killing it. And he's more interested in the business side of it, as well as, business brokerages and commercial. But he does do residential as well, and he's still getting his feet wet and learning. So super proud of him as well. And Yoni is our youngest, and he's about to finish his first year of law school. So he's going to soon be a 2L is what they call it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. And they're all doing their own thing. And you've always encouraged them, I'll help with your education. And then, work hard, work smart, fail forward. I'll be here to help you out, but I'm not going to do it for you.
Correct. And that's been my biggest thing. And, Sherry and I were type of parents, and they came home from school with a grade, and each one has his own individual person, right? So we never compared one child to the next. We never said, hey, you got a B. Why didn't you get an A?
Yeah.
Instead, my question is always was, well, did you try your hardest? Do you feel you put your best foot forward with it? And sometimes they came back and go, yeah, I think I did. Then rock and roll, give me an I. Let's congratulate that D. Because it doesn't matter. It's a symbol, right? The question is, are you putting in the effort? And if you come back to me and go, well, I kind of slacked off. Okay, the next time, why don't you just try a little harder? Apply yourself a little bit more because the rewards can be great. So always it's been positive reinforcement. And that's the way we became amazing parents, amazing grandparents, and just, I think, a pretty darn good leader. It's just because pulling the good out of the individual as opposed to squatting down. One of the biggest compliment, I come from a line of educators. My mother is a principal, open day schools all over the country. My sisters are all in education. I started in education, but realized there's no way I could support a family of the size that I wanted being a teacher. It's unfortunate, but that's just the reality. So I need to do something else. It's just, so the biggest compliment any teacher can get is when the student surpasses the teacher. And I've had several agents in my career that I was able to coach, mentor, that far surpassed what I'm doing. Look at Short Currents, for instance, and he decided, hey, I'm done with the real estate gig. I'm going to continue with the investment side, and I'm going to coach and teach about how to, do what I do. And he's having great success with it. And I'm
killing it.
Super proud of him. I've never been the guy to be jealous. It's about how do I elevate others?
Let's talk about that and back up for a second to go off of your one of your core values is hard work, but smart work and consistency. Let's talk about your real estate career and how you started and to get to where you are today. It's a great story. It's a fucking great story,
Thank you. I love when people go, well, I love your overnight success. I said, yeah, absolutely. It just took 30 years. All right. So I started in sales. And the biggest reason I started in sales because my father told me sales is not a career. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, I got to show you. So I took it very seriously when I started selling copiers and fax machines. I studied it, and hey, English is a second language for me. I speak pretty well right now, but I didn't in the past and when I was younger. And so when I started in that career, it was all about cold calling. And I figured out I just have to outwork everybody else. And let's figure out the formula with this stuff. So everything to me is the numbers and it's a formula. So if they say you need to make 40 calls, whether at the time was cold calling, wasn't phone calls, to get one appointment, great. Then how quickly can I get to 100? Because then I'll have more than 2. And that's what always drove me and always pushed. So I started there when I came in and started in real estate. I started with Century 21, as I was told they had the best training. And very quickly came in and figured out, oh, this is on your own and you better figure this out. So I just took what I knew, the basics, and I worked it like a job. What a concept, right? And I started, I outworked everybody. My day started at 6:30 in the morning and I was home every night for dinner with my kids. That was a set appointment on my calendar. And people would say, hey, I'd like to meet you. Sorry, I already have an appointment that time, but here's the times I am available. So I always controlled my calendar. And the problem was when I started is I put too much time into it, if you could say that. After dinner, I bathed the kids, read them, put them to bed. And then instead of going and playing with my wife, watching TV, reading a book or whatever, I'd go into my home office and I'd grind it out till 2, 3 in the morning. We were like, well, what were you doing until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, I did all my own files. So I never did put any time or effort into a file during the day. Paperwork, that's off hours. And I'd follow up with a ton of emails because I started marketing online before Zillow, before Realtor.com, before any of this stuff. And I was doing pay-per-click campaigns then too. And I would get leads and I'd follow up in emails because I was talking to people all over the world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so let's fast forward to today. Where are you at with your brand?
So we have 4 offices here, 3 in town, one Henderson, one in the Southwest, one in the heart of Summerlin. We have 1 office in Pahrump. we were the first name brand to go into Pahrump, and people looked at me and go, "What are you crazy? What are you going to Pahrump for?" I thought, "Okay, yeah." People tell me I'm crazy. I opened the first company in '07. You know what happened right after that? So yeah, I guess I'm a little crazy, a little off the beat. You know, try to run to my own drum, if you will. So we have 4 offices. We have 150 agents. We have a full property management division. We manage over 1,000 properties. We have the flipping arm. We have the development arm. And we're just, every aspect of real estate, we're in it.
What part of the business right now gets you up in the morning?
I still get my jollies from working with an agent and taking them to the next level. That still floats my boat, if you will. But the development arm, that's my next passion.
Let's talk about that.
Sure.
The development arm. What about that is why you're so passionate about it, and what are some specific development projects that you've already worked on or that you're currently working on that you want to talk about?
So very new into the development side. We've built just a handful of homes over the years, but I'm looking into bigger projects now. I've acquired land in Pahrump, 11 and a half acres on the main drag. There's 2 main drags in Pahrump, and it's across from the Binion Ranch. We've got some water rights.
Guaranteed
some more
traffic. I would say being across the Binion Ranch is like being across from Costco in Pahrump. Like, you're just guaranteed to have clientele.
Well, they can walk to the Walmart and they can walk to the Home Depot from this land. I mean, the location is incredible. When I sat with the engineering firm out there and showed them the land, here's what I'm thinking of buying. They're like, "What? And you're still thinking? No, buy it. You have the opportunity. No, buy it, because we know other people will take it." It's exciting to be able to take something that you have a vision in your head. And, you know, entrepreneurs, we all have these thoughts and what it's going to be like in the future and what does it look like. To be able to take that, articulate it, and be able to see it to fruition and see and then at the end of the day, walk away and go, "Yeah, I built that. Look, my kids, my grandkids can, oh, Dad, Grandpa, he built that." That's pretty cool.
I think that's the coolest thing you can do. I think that's cooler than having your name on a building. I would rather...
Well, someone can always remove your name from the building, right?
Somebody can write a bigger check when that contract is up and it's no longer the, Iddo Gavish, wing.
Well, we know because your grandfather did it, right? Yep. And you and I have shared some stories about that.
Absolutely. There's stuff I was involved with that I'm bringing Jack back with, Alex has been back a couple times, back to Canandaigua. I'm bringing them both back this summer to help, like, with my mom and her ashes in the lake. But there's stuff there. There's buildings that are now built that I helped develop that property and get that stuff going. The New York State Wine and Culinary Center is right there, and I helped do that. Yeah. And it's super cool. I'm proud of that at, 53 to go and say, your dad was part of that project. I'd much rather that than that is there with my name on the building.
Yeah. And look, the flipping homes, that was cool. I did it before it came out on TV, before it became mainstream. I just did it quietly. It was pretty simple, to put myself, because I got married at 22, to help afford to finish school because I paid for my own schooling. I was flipping cars. I'd buy cars. I'd do whatever minimum repairs we had to do, and we'd sell them and make a profit and move on. I always did something. And then to get to flipping homes, yeah, that's cool. It's a bigger ticket item. And, I've been doing it for so long, and it's cool to walk in, but I can really do it with my eyes closed. So the challenge is not like it was with doing that aspect of it. But I've been doing it for forever.
Yeah.
Before HGTV and, oh, what a concept. You could change the floor, paint that. So I was just recently talking about the first flip I ever did as an agent. I didn't have the company or anything. I bought this house on the east side, and I did all the work. I worked my full-time job, and at night, I just went there to my second job. And I remember halfway through this project, it was broken in. They stole all my tools. They stole equipment. And it took, the plan was in 3 months, and I think it took us 7 or 8 months. I did all the work myself. I contracted out things like I don't like, painting, but building cabinets, hanging cabinets together, deciding which walls to take down. I did all of that. And still managed to pull off a profit. I'm like, we got something here. And I didn't know what I'm doing. So why don't we do this again? And then to the point where, I've got crews for everything.
Are you doing investment deals now? Are you doing like buy and flip now in Vegas?
Yeah, we always have some on the books. It's not as much as it was because the margins aren't there, and you need the margins. What people are not taking into account is holding costs. Yeah, you calculated, you bought this property for X, you're going to put Y into it. The numbers don't matter. You're going to sell it, and the idea is to turn your money. So you ideally want to turn your money 4 times in a year. So that means you have to turn the house in 3 months from closing, rehabbing, selling. Well, that's not realistic right now. The homes are sitting longer. So if the home is sitting longer, you got more, you're paying taxes, you're paying insurance, you're paying water bill, you're paying cleaning bills. Because just the fact the house is still on the market, you've had agents walking through it. There's no guarantee someone didn't bring their kids through and they were eating an ice cream. You got to mop the floor. And people don't take those things into account.
How are you finding your investment deals now?
My agents primarily, they bring us a lot of deals. We started in town saying, I'll sell your house in 30 days or I'll buy it from you. That was the whole idea. But my education, my philosophy and business of what we do is giving education to the client. So when we sit with a client, it's about answering or asking and understanding, well, why do you want to sell the house? And when I know the why do you want to buy this house? When we know the why, then we can give the education. And it's not about me, it's about you. It's about the client. What is the best scenario for you and your family? So having an understanding of that, then we can really give them the education. So if someone calls me and goes, hey, I just want you to buy my house. I don't want to deal with this. Okay, sure. I'll be happy to buy it. Do you understand I'll be buying it for less than market value because I'm taking a risk. I have to do this, and this into it. And here's what it's going to be. It's not about twisting their arm. It's about understanding. So the minute we give the education, they can look at it and go, well, these are your options. You know how many people we've sat with over the years are thinking they just want to give away their house because they don't want to. And it turns out we could turn that into a rental because you don't need the money out of it. So why don't we turn it into a rental and create cash flow for your family? And people are saying, I didn't know that's an option. That's our job. Our job is to give an education to the public so they can make the best decision for them and their family.
I love your brain because you are someone that it never stops. Like you're always thinking about the next deal.
That's a blessing and a curse.
Amen,
right?
brother.
Because we can't turn it off.
And you're still married and I'm divorced. and the duality is freaking crazy. And you can't turn it off. But the other thing that you have that is so rare, you've got this brain that you're saying, and whether it's a different sector to go into, like development all of a sudden, and to do that, which you'll kill it in. But also you care about the people that are either hanging their license with C21 Gavish, or if someone calls you to this day, I know the answer to this. If I was to sell my house right now and I called and asked for Iddo Gavish to sell my house, would you do that?
Of course.
Of course you would, right? And there's a lot of people out in this town now at your level that would say, yes, but actually you're going to get an underling is going to go out and we might hop on a call and I'll be there maybe at the closing and that's it. Where you're cradle to grave, still there, from the initial consultation to closing, you're still there to help them out. And you do that for your clients, but I've seen it firsthand for years, how you treat your agents is, you're a big brother, dad figure to them, and you give a shit. You sincerely give a shit, and that's rare in this town.
I don't know how to not to. And, I've been told many times that I lead with my heart. And, that caused me to lose a lot of money over the years too, right? But try to focus on not what we lost, focus on what you gain. It's the same thing that I go back to. Everything in life, it's about positive reinforcement, not negative reinforcement. And, there are certain things that happen in life that stick with you that are not necessarily proud moments. And you learn from that and go from there. I remember sitting in a conference room. This is kind of shameful to say, but this is a true story and it's real life, right? So if I could be a mentor and someone learn from it, then that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Bettering the greater society, greater goods, right? Our job is to leave this earth in a better place than we found it. If every one of us does that, then, hey, everything's going to be okay, right? Because
Agreed.
It's all a bunch of small things put together and they come to huge mountains. But I diverted and forgot what we were talking about.
We're talking about your balance of how you have the ADHD brain of an entrepreneur, always looking for, the next thing or to make something better already under your umbrella of what you do. But then also you can slow down and focus enough to care about whether it's a client and almost any price point. Yeah, I'll sell your house for you. I'll help you out. Or I might find a buyer for your house. Done. Let's talk.
Yeah. Or
more importantly, what I've seen multiple times and love is how you work with your agents. It's family to you and Sherry, both. It's very dear to you. When somebody stays, when somebody goes, it's still that it's family.
Yeah.
And that's so rare. You just don't see that a lot. Very few people in town act that way here. A lot of and I'm open about this. A lot of the places like of your size, they're puppy mills. They're puppy mills. And they just try to get the agents in and they give you this shuck and jive and they tell you everything you want to hear because you just got a, blah, blah realty school or you want to transfer because you're stuck somewhere else and you get there and it's nothing. You get no support. Everyone's ghosting you and they're just, okay, well, here's our CRM and here's our tools and have a good time. We wish you all the success in the world.
So I came a long, thank you.
Welcome.
I came a long way from where I started. When I started as a team leader, I realized very quickly on that I just had a conversation with one of my managers about this with Susan, just this morning, that I realized very quickly that I can't want it more than the agent wants it. I can't want your success more than you want your own success. But so in the beginning, that's what my thing was. It's like, I don't get it how you don't want it. I'm showing you. Here it is. Come get it. All you have to step, and they won't do it. So I very realized I can give the information, but it's up to you to take the ball and run with it, right? The old cliche, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force him to drink. Horse has a pretty strong neck. You can't shove that neck into the water, right? But so it's the same thing. I'm willing to work with any agent that wants it. But if you look back to history, and I can think of many, the agents that said, hey, what did you do to become successful? And I show them and I tell them what to do and they do it. And then they're successful. What a concept. And then you have agents that pick your brain and want more time and another meeting. And dude, I'm not into having meetings for the sake of meetings. I got plenty of things to do, plenty of things to keep me busy. So I'll give of my time to anybody, but don't waste my time. And that's something that I've only I don't think I've mastered it yet. It's easier said than done. I'm still working on it, but I'm certainly better at it in my 50s than I was in my 40s or 30s.
I think that's something that we all, as we get older, work on. Charles Barkley was on 60 Minutes like a week ago or so, and he said, I'm on the back nine of my life right now. I might be on hole 10. I might be on hole 17. I don't know which hole I'm on, but I know I'm on the back nine of my life. And that gives me different, right? It gives me a different set of parameters of which I'm dealing with now. My time is more valuable being on the back nine of my life. And I'm much more picky who I spend it with. It's more with family, a lot more with family. It's less about material objects and wealth and things like that. And I now leverage whatever is in my head to see if I could generate wealth that way. And I can't, I cannot force somebody to take over what I know is going to help them to adopt that process or procedure. All I can do is give it to them. I've gotten to that point being a title rep. I'm really done doing massive presentations to 200 or 300 people because one or two of them are maybe going to do it. And then if the escrow officer screws up 6 months down the road, they fire you and you had nothing to do with it. And I'm kind of done doing that. And that's why I started doing this to bring my friends in to have just open, honest discussions. And let's talk about our success, your success, talk about you and your pain points, what you learn from it, the struggles and challenges you've had. And that way it goes out to now hundreds of thousands of people are seeing it. And if it helps one person become better at their job, I'm good with that.
So I agree with you 100%. I remember I was giving you an example of something that happens in your life that might not be a proud moment, right? You had to eat a little crow. It humbled you a bit. But did you learn from it? And here's a perfect example. It was one of my dear friends, Michael Core. And we might not speak every day, every month, because we're both busy. But when we talk, it's like you and I, like brothers, right? And he called me one day and I said, hey, dude, we're close enough. He started as a sales rep and running Fox and now runs Fox 5 here in Las Vegas. Great guy. I've got nothing but respect. And I said, why is it in our friendship that when we talk, I always call you, you don't call me? I called him out on it. He says to me, Iddo, when I call you, I feel like I'm interrupting your day. And a light bulb went on. I'm like, oh shit, if he feels like that and we're close that he can actually tell me, do I make others feel that way? Why is that? And I sat back and looked at my life. I teach to take a 30-foot view, 30,000-foot view, just step up and look at what's going on. And when I did that, I'm like, yeah, I'm always doing a million things at once. I'm never doing just one thing. And there's always interruptions. Hey, you got a minute? Whatever it is. But what I've learned is if I take time to pick up a phone call, nothing else matters. That is what matters at the moment because you cannot do two things at once. The reality is you can't. So if you take the time to pick up the phone, then give them their undivided attention. And it's the same thing with, I tell agents, I tell anybody who wants to listen, when you work. When you play. When people, what does that mean? I go, well, how many of you are on a date or a dinner with your wife and you're like this? Why? That thing has a do not disturb. Turn it over. Don't look at it. Put it away. If they leave you a message, you leave you a text message, a phone call. Is everybody, I say, I chose this career as opposed to being a surgeon because no one dies on my table. So relax.
It's amazing. Well, it's amazing, though, to have that perspective. When did you come to that conclusion? Like when was the phone call with Michael? How long ago was this? When he was
years ago. And I just still have to consciously remind myself. My kids say that. It's very simple to just say, hey, I'm busy. I can't talk right now. If you want to take the call, or there's automatic responses on your iPhone. Sorry, I can't talk now. You can make a custom one. Hey, I'm on the other line. Whatever. It's the same concept with leads. In the real estate world, we're all about leads. And a customer calls. Well, not a customer. Right now, they're just a lead, right? They call you and they want an answer back, whether it's team. I always tell the agent, just call back right now. Don't put it off. Right now. Even if the answer is, hey, I saw you raise your hand. I hear you. And I promise you, I'll circle back to you. Right now, I'm with this client or I'm stepping into this appointment. Is it okay to call you back at 4:00? What else does anybody want? I've been heard. Yes, I've been heard, and I'll get back to you. Now, if a lead comes in and you don't call them back, you don't text them back, you don't email them back right away, then what are they to think? Oh, he's just busy. He'll call me back when it's convenient. No, I asked a question. The world is about instant gratification. I want an answer. Sometimes the answer is, I heard you and I'll get back to you. That's an answer.
And it's better than no answer at all.
Correct.
It's better than ghosting them because that's what they're going to think.
That's exactly what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times, the agent is not lazy. They have good intentions, just busy. Yeah. The other person another time doesn't know that.
We live in you hit the nail on the head. The instant gratification, like you can go on Amazon and get whatever you want almost next day now.
Or pay extra and it'll show up now.
Or pay extra to show up now. I've gotten to the point where I know the value of my time and I know whether it's worth it to go to Albertsons out in Inspirata if I need, more oat milk for my coffee creamer, or if it's worth it to pay the extra $5 or $6 to have, someone bring it over to me. I have that down pat now. And I'd say 80% of the time, I'm having Uber Eats do it for me.
See, and I'm still adjusted to this concept.
Yeah.
It's Sherry crazy. And Sivan flew to Israel with Liam, our grandson. So she doesn't have to make that trip herself. And, I have the kids over and we're looking at each other like, hey, what do we eat? And they're like, oh, Uber Eats. I go, Uber who?
Yeah.
You're paying extra for it? Well, you can't get in the car and just go pick it up. This is the world. So, yeah.
It comes down to, like I said before, the value of your time. And if you need to eat, and I did this on, I was no kids this past weekend. So had an edible or two, was feeling great. I was watching, there's a great show on, it's on Paramount Plus TV called The Offer. And it's a little mini series, like 7 or 8 episodes, an hour long, about the making of The Godfather.
Cool.
It's phenomenal. It's so good. And I'm the guy that, like, while I'm watching it, I'm pausing it and going on Google to see if that was accurate or not. Like, I'm that guy to see, like, how historically significant, accurate the storyline is. And it was pretty much on about the role of the mafia and how they were not going to let him make that movie because it portrayed Italians in a bad light, how they didn't use the word mafia, like I think maybe once in the movie and that's it.
Wow.
Was what they did. And so it was really well done. I go off on a tangent, but the thing is, I'm high. I'm watching this. I'm good, man. I got the AC on 69. I'm like in my skivvies. I'm good. I am not going to go out and get food. So Marco's Pizza, Uber Eats, I get my deep dish with my anchovies and olives and mushrooms, happier than a pig in shit. Worth every penny, Iddo, for that experience.
Yeah, sure.
And if it was $4, $5, $6, $7 more, I don't care because I could stay in my bubble. I could watch my show, enjoy my high, and eat my pizza.
Yeah.
And it's great. And also I'm helping somebody out who's hustling, making money as a delivery person. I always tip a little bit more because I know that they're working hard.
And you didn't drive high.
And I drive high.
So that's a win-win for everybody.
So that's the best part is just, it's the whole thing now with Uber Eats, with artificial intelligence. And we're talking about this before, that this is something that it's always been around, but now it's coming to the forefront of everybody's mind. No matter what you do, real estate or otherwise, if you're not in AI, you are losing money.
For sure.
You are losing tens of thousands, if not down the road, millions of dollars.
And I've incorporated into our company on the company level, on the highest level. And I'm using a startup out of Israel who's cultivating with AI our leads. Over the years, I've accumulated over 90,000 leads that have been sitting. And agents are saying, I don't want to call this one again. You know what? You're right. You're right. You shouldn't call that agent. You shouldn't call that potential client. It's not worth it.
No, don't do it.
It's not worth it.
No, just sit there.
God forbid they say, yes, I'm looking to buy something. Or yes, here's my portfolio that my dad left me. I need to unwind it. I need to sell it. But that's always been my excitement for calling the other side. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know what. I just love talking to people. But we're incorporating this. It's a startup out of Israel, and we've uploaded our obscene number of leads in there. They ran it through the system, teaching it, doing the thing, and they came back and go, hey, of these, we got 60,000 real leads in here. I said, great. Wow. My agents don't want to call those yet. You don't need to. We're going to put them in the system. And the AI tracks them and does everything and interacts with them and emails them and texts them and does whatever it does until someone raises their hand. And then once a week, we get the ones that raise their hand and we give those to our agents. And now to fast forward it even more with them, I'm getting 2,000 to 3,000 leads on a monthly basis, in addition to what I have just from this company. It's cool stuff.
It's just, if you thought, like, if 40-year-old Iddo was talking to Iddo today, and if you said that to 40-year-old Iddo, what would 40-year-old Iddo say?
Why didn't you do this earlier?
Right?
As opposed to old school that I just call everybody myself. Yeah.
So, and you've got, you have a ton of agents you have. How do you disperse the leads? Because that's like a biggie. We know, we've been in the business forever. Agents are always like, I want leads. Heaven forbid they cultivate their own SOI or cultivate their own previous deals or anything like that. Which a lot do, but also a lot don't. How do you decide as captain of the ship and paying, I would assume, a good chunk of change?
A ridiculous chunk of change, yes.
So like bigger than a bread box, we're saying. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. How do you decide who gets these and who's rewarded with the initial set of leads? And then like the Glengarry leads. Like, these are the leads. How do you decide that?
So in the past, starting this, I've always generated leads, through radio, through TV, through pay-per-clicks. I've always had a lead machine, right? In the past, what I did is treat everyone equal on a round robin. First you get it, then she gets it, then he gets it, to make it everything fair. I'm done. I'm not doing that. It didn't work. So what I do now, it's the agents that are producing, are showing up on a regular basis. They raise their hand and go, hey, we'll work your leads. I said, great. So I give them those leads. That's the first ones that are taken care of. And then it's the agents that haven't produced, but are showing up. So what I'm telling my agents and what I'm showing my agents is, if you show up, if you're willing to put the effort and you're not getting conversion, let's work on that. But the fact that you're showing up, that you're putting in the effort, that's good for me. Now let's tweak why. So let's listen to what you're saying. What scripts are you using? Are you using scripts? And when it is, do you sound like someone from India reading? Do you sound like someone from the Philippines, or that cold call or telemarketer that you get that's just reading, and you ask them a question, they stop and they go, let me just continue and then I can get back to your question? No. Or are you having a real conversation? Because scripts are great, but you should learn them. You should study them, but you should have a conversation. Those are a guide. So for instance, script for me, I take a script and I put it into bullet points. And I want to make sure I have a flow of my conversation and I can follow my bullet points. But for a lot of agents, that won't work. They can't think quickly on their feet like, let's say I can. There's nothing wrong with it. But let's tweak it. Let's make it your own. You're saying this word in there. Let me hear you tell me the script. It doesn't sound like you speaking, Jeff. Why don't we take this word out and put your word in here? I can do that? Yeah, you can.
Something I've worked with agents on in the past, which always works, is role playing with scripts, and to just you're cold calling me, lay it on me.
Yeah. And so when I first started, I'd script in front of the mirror. That has got to be the hardest thing that you could possibly do. Yeah. But I said, if I can perfect this in front of the mirror to myself, the biggest critic of them all should be yourself. If you could do that, then you're going to excel. You're going to excel. Another thing I always say to, and this is for anybody in sales, when you're picking up the phone call, are you smiling? Because I can hear you smile. So remember, if you just smile and show up to the party and just outwork everybody, if you outwork them, the skills will be perfected.
There is an entire generation of kids being brought up right now that are being coddled, that are being given participation awards, and they're going to absolutely get destroyed by your kids and by my kids, because we're raising our kids to say, life is not easy. And I didn't get all this by just waiting for the phone to ring and people to call me. I made stuff happen and I created wealth for myself.
That's right.
And guess what? I will help you, like what I've done with my kids, and they know this already. I will take care of a good state school for them. They want to go to UNLV, UNR, excellent schools. I will pay for that. If they go on to secondary school, we'll talk about it. If they want to go on for their master's in art, art history, no. But law school, medical school, your MBA in something that's going to be relevant, that you're passionate about, but will open up more doors for you, yes, I'll help with that or pay for the whole thing. So you're not saddled with debt.
Sure.
However, after that, go. And I will love you, and my door will always be open, and you will get unfettered access to my brain and to the mistakes I've made at my age that I'm happy to share with you so you don't make those same mistakes.
Sure.
That's what
you brought up the kids are coddled and participation trophy. I was big into soccer. I grew up in Israel, like we've established. I love the game. So I coached my kids in soccer at YSO, whatever it's called. I forgot now. Bunch of 4 letters.
CYO, YMCA?
No. Whatever. Soccer league, right?
Okay.
So I coached them, and I remember I was coaching a group of girls, and we lost miserably that game. And then after that game, I made them run laps around the field. And the parents all looked at me like, what are you doing?
How dare you?
How dare you? Instead, why don't we give them oranges and cupcakes and tell them what a great job they did? Because they didn't.
Let's get oranges. You guys suck. Have an orange. Have a nothing bun cake fucking buntlet. You just shit the bed on the soccer field and you're going to get rewarded by a goddamn red velvet buntlet from Nothing Bun Cakes. What?
Yeah, so I took some flack from the parents, but the girls all respected me more because I wasn't cruel about it.
Yes.
I said, listen, why do you think this happened? The same thing that I do with myself. Let's analyze really what happened. Well, they outran us. Okay, so they have better conditioning than you. No better time than to start. Let's go.
Let's run.
And I led them.
Yeah.
I ran with them.
Yeah.
So I've always done those things. But again, it's all positive reinforcement, not negative reinforcement. And it's laying the laws, laying the rules. If the kids know the rules, then they can play by the rules, just like us.
Yeah. If you can, as a parent, instill a growth mindset into your kids as soon as possible, to create, I do it now. Like I've been divorced for 2 years. My ex and I get along great. We co-parent so well together, and the kids are open enough to talk to us. One of us, I don't care who they talk to. I don't care if they don't talk to me. Talk to Becky. Sometimes they come to me about stuff. Jack, I was with Jack over the weekend. Not my weekend, but Becky asked me, of course, I have nothing going on. So I got high Friday night and I was with Jack on Saturday night, full disclosure. And so, which was fine. But we made breakfast together. He's 7 years old. He can do bacon. He's cutting up the bananas for chocolate chip banana pancakes. Like I'm teaching him. I already done it with Alex and I already do it. Life skills. Yeah. So you know how to cook. That's and you're comfortable in front of a griddle. And it's okay. You know what? It's gonna pop. The grease is gonna pop up and get your arm a little bit in your hand. That's gonna happen. It's gonna sting for like a second. If not, and you're good. Keep going. Mm-hmm. It means you're doing it right. And, to do that, to cook. And that is giving them confidence to do that. Well, we're eating, and Jack he's ADHD like his old man. And he says, he's great. He goes, I love you. I love mom. I'm so lucky to have you as my parents. I said, honey, we're very lucky to be your parents. And he said, do you love mom? I said, I love your mom very much. And he says, well, how come you're not married anymore? And it gave me a pause because I've always said to my kids, I'll never lie to you, ever. And I said,
can't be hypocrites.
Right. And I said, and this is to a 7-year-old. I'm 53, Iddo. And I say, honey, I love your mom, but not romantically, like to kiss her and hold her and all that. But I love her as your mom. I love her as the woman that she is and who she's becoming now. And for that, I will always love and adore her. And he went, oh, okay.
That's an answer.
Pass the bacon. I was so nervous about to tell him, but then I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to tell him, what I think. And that's it.
Just tell him the truth.
Right.
If it's very simple. If we tell the truth all the time, then we don't have to, you can have a shitty memory. Yeah. When you lie, you better remember your lies.
Yeah.
So always tell the truth. And the kids, there was a show years ago, kids say the darndest thing. Mm-hmm. That's the coolest thing about having a conversation with the kids. Hey, you got a pimple in the middle. They'll tell you.
Art Linkletter. I remember that show. And nowadays, kids are not encouraged to say the darndest things.
Correct. Everyone's squashed, right?
Everyone's squashed. And it is fear of offending somebody, which I think now there's being a giant backlash to the whole woke culture thing. Yeah. I think we're seeing a giant cultural backlash to that.
Because we went too far.
Way too far.
Yeah, we were too far another way, but okay. But there's got to be some happy medium in the
Harvey Weinstein, he's a monster. Absolutely a freaking monster. That guy should be castrated, as far as I'm concerned. The way he treated women and abused his position as a producer for Miramax Films, absolutely. However, to take it to such a level now that there's certain things you can't say for fear of losing your job or for fear of being ostracized by people because of what you said, and nobody's perfect. And I'd say almost every time you're saying something like that, it's not from a position of hatred or to judge somebody. You're just saying your opinion.
Yeah.
ADHD, I blurt stuff out all the time. I go, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. But I say it. I'll always apologize afterwards if I offended somebody. But I'm like, look, I'm coming from a place of just, I'd rather you hear it than me not say it.
But you don't come off saying something with the intention of hurting someone or offending someone. You're just coming up because that's what you saw and that's what you called it. But that people are getting so offended by all these things. I was just talking to someone. Imagine if we played Archie Bunker today. And that's a freaking hilarious show. Just making fun of everybody, right? But really? We can't play that now. People would be like, oh, hey, what's going on?
I've got one for you. Blazing Saddles.
Oh, that's a classic.
One of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
My mom, rest her soul, when they're around the campfire eating beans and baked beans and farting,
Sure.
is like one of the best. It's one of the best movies of all time. You couldn't make that movie now if for all the tea in China. There's no way.
There's no way it would fly.
Anybody would let you make that movie now.
Because too many people would be offended.
Too many people would be offended by it. So let's bring it back to you at Gavish Real Estate.
Sure.
How many agents you have?
150.
So you have 150 personalities.
155, whatever.
So 155 personalities you're managing on almost a daily basis. How do you do that and maintain your sanity?
Well, with a lot of help. It's way bigger than me anymore. It's amazing managers, amazing support staff, and relying and teaching the agents to help each other. The agents really step up and help each other. We really created a family atmosphere, like you mentioned before. And family, and I teach them all the time. It's about helping each other. Step up, help each other.
You've created an ecosystem there with Susan and Jean and Tony that they're like your little...
And Ron.
And Ron, they're like your lieutenants.
Yeah.
And Ron's a stud, by the way.
Yes, he is.
Ron's a stud.
Stud and a half.
Ron's a stud and a half.
Anyone that has 501 jumps out of a plane under their belt, come on.
He is a stud and in Pahrump, Nevada.
Yep.
And lighting it up as a broker in Pahrump, Nevada.
Yep.
Which that town is a booming.
Yes.
By the way. So, I mean, good for you for the foresight to see that, but then also to have a partnership with somebody like Ron, who is just, holy crap. I went out there and did a presentation on AI last week and loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it and love him. I said, you feed me ham like that, I'll come on anytime you want to, brother. I'm yours. But I love how good attracts good. And you have attracted really good people that you can delegate to, that you trust, that are literally putting out fires every day that you don't even know about.
Absolutely.
You don't even know about it because you don't want to, nor should it enter your bandwidth.
Look, the reality is we're all human, right? And a job of a great leader is to elevate other leaders. It's not to micromanage. It's not to second guess. If, we're doing something together, a project, and I let you run with it. And it wasn't done to what I thought it should be done after the fact. And after the fact, we have a conversation and going, here's what when I said it, here's what I was expecting. Here's what I think you should have done. And here's what you did. Explain to me, where am I missing? And that's an opportunity for someone to go, yeah, I know what you're saying, but did you look at it this way? I go, oh shit, I didn't think about that. You're right. I'm wrong. Great job. Or they go, I dropped the ball. I said, okay. So what can we do to prevent that for next time? It's not about I'm bigger, better than you. That's never it. It's we all have a mission. Here's where we're going to push the ball over to the goal line, to the goal. Here's what we need to do. And I can't do that myself. It's a team. So who can do what with it? So, and I've instilled that, or I try to instill that, and I think I'm doing a good job, but sometimes they call and tell me, hey, so it's, check the ego at the door a long time ago.
What would you say to someone who just got their real estate license at blah, blah real estate school, and they were coming in and talking with you and saying, what am I going to do? What do I need to do to be successful? And how am I going to do it under your umbrella and your brand?
So the first thing I tell any brand new agent is all the studying that you did was to learn how to pass the test. Now realize you know nothing about our industry. You know definitions. You might know a few formulas on how to get the right answer at the end, but you know nothing, all right? So start to learn. Learn the contracts, first of all. Print a contract. You don't need to be in class for this. You better do this beforehand. That's your homework. Print a purchase agreement. Print a listing agreement with a highlighter, not on your computer. Print it. Take a pen, take a highlighter, highlight stuff. Highlight what you don't understand. Highlight what you do understand. You have a thought, write it down on that paper. Then come to me, come to your manager, come to another agent and going, hey, this There's no such thing as a stupid question. All right? You don't know.
Amen.
Ask. So, and then really understanding the contracts. That's the first thing you should be doing. Really understand the basics of it. After that is make a commitment to work. Make a commitment to consistency, because consistency is the name of the game. Period. End of story. A metaphor I had, I'm 55, I'm taking medicine first time in my life. This is a new thing for me. I've always taken vitamins. And years ago, a doctor says, hey, you have a vitamin D deficiency. You're low on vitamin D. How could it be? I love the sun. He goes, Iddo, more than 90% of the people in this town have a vitamin D deficiency. Go take vitamin D. I'm taking it. Nothing's happening. He goes, what are you taking? Oh, you're not taking enough. Okay, you need to switch to 5,000 IU. Okay. I find a bottle in Costco, 5,000 IU, and they're gel caps, and I take it every single morning. Just like I brush my teeth, I take my vitamin D. When I open that fresh bottle, it's filled to the top and all these little pills in there. It's like, holy cow, what is all this? You'll never get through it. And you take one every single day, and eventually that bottle's empty. It's like, it's the consistency. So what happens if you reverse it? If you want to fill a bucket and your hose is only dripping, collect it, those drops. At the end of some time, that bucket is going to overflow. And it's overflowing not by a hose, by a drop. It's consistency. And that's where people make a mistake, is not having that consistency. And I sit with agents at the beginning of the year and what money do you want to make? This is a simple formula, because my goal is different from you. And I'm not a judge. That's not my job. That's God's job, right? My job as a leader is to get you to where you want to go. So I meet with an agent and go, I want to make $1 million. Okay, great. I have an agent, I want to do 52 transactions. I said, okay, that's great. That's one a week. You could do that. And they look at me and go sideways. I go, the last company I was at, that I said that, they laughed at me. They said, you can't do that. I go, why would they say that? That's what you want to do? You could do it. I'll show you what you have to do, because it's numbers. Are you willing to do those numbers and do it consistently? Because if so, you'll get there. But there's no get rich quick scheme here. This is work. How hard are you willing to work? Are you willing to put in 5 days a week consistently? Are you willing to put 6 days a week? I don't think anybody should do 7, because you'll burn out. And everything in life is about balance, right? So it's consistency.
What specifically does C21 bring to the table?
First and foremost is the name recognition. We've got the best name recognition of any real estate company in the entire world. Just like I've had the privilege of traveling all over the world, and everywhere I'm sitting with buddies and we're talking, I always meet the local folk and go, where are you from? I go, Las Vegas. Las Vegas! Everybody knows Las Vegas.
Everybody.
I met with a buddy who was traveling medicine. I think he was from Detroit. And he goes, where? And they get to him, where are you from? Detroit. And they're like, where? Not everybody knows. But Las Vegas, everybody knows. Same thing with Century 21. Any hole in the world that you go to, you say C21, nobody goes, are you selling hamburgers? They all know it's real estate. Everybody knows. That is a huge thing. What agents have to understand is the name behind you will open the door. But it's up to you, your performance, how to close that door. So we can help you open the door, but you still have to show up. So that for sure. The second thing is all of the tools and the technology, the access to C21 University that agents have.
Yeah.
So again, the information is there, but you have to put the effort to go get it.
It's shocking to me the amount of agents that just don't take advantage of stuff like that. And I think I'm still trying to figure this one out, is why do agents get into the market thinking that, get their license, thinking that they're going to get rich overnight, that they're going to just do as little work as possible and do 50 deals a year? I don't understand still where they get that from. Because
TV.
But it's been going on since, it's been going on since there was fucking reality shows. Before listing Las Vegas or listing, $1 million listing New York, there was still, you and I were doing deals back in the 90s. And there were people, it was still, you'd go in. I was at McMillan Realty in Canandaigua, New York. And you'd go in there and there'd be schleprock sitting in there doing nothing. I used to see around the holidays, it was women, always was women. And it was around the holidays and they had this big deal coming in. So they'd rip up go nuts with their credit card, go to Eastview Mall and do all the shopping there. This is like 93, 94, and get all this stuff for their kids and spoil them rotten. And then the deal went south. And then come January, when the credit card, they're crying, bawling, because they had nothing else going on. They weren't working leads. They weren't doing open houses. They weren't like staying in front of their SOI and past clients, and they'd go in the shitter. And that still goes on, not as much, but it still goes on today. And I still am trying to figure that one out as to why, with everything you're seeing now, because a lot of it now with podcasts and with social media going on, you see people putting the work in.
For sure.
Like any agent I'm working with, I'm like, document when you're door knocking, when you're doing an open house, any of that stuff at all to show relevance with what you're doing. And so I'm still trying to figure that one out. You know, like during COVID, we had anybody that was doing bottle service at any of the, Tao Beach Club or whatever, all of a sudden thought, oh, I could be a real estate agent. And that was hysterical. All the good-looking people that flooded the market in Las Vegas.
And we're seeing it now because times are tougher. Agents are dropping like flies, right? I can't afford to pay my LVR dues. Las Vegas Realtor Association.
It's gone down thousands. And to put a button on what I was saying, the thing is, I think about 20% of the people that I saw leave the nightclub, day club industry, about 20% have made it. The ones, at least ones I'm working with. But a lot of them, nope. Majority of them, nope.
Look, this is not a hobby. This is not a side gig, a side hustle. Everybody on social media, you need a side hustle. Yeah. What's a side hustle? If you work in your real job, you don't have time for a side hustle. Years ago when I started, and I've always been in sales my entire life. I've always done straight commissions. I know nothing but that. So I learned very quickly, to hit on your point, you don't spend the check before you cash it.
Exactly right.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. This is sales, right? You've earned the money when you cashed it and it's in the bank. That's when you have it. That's when you figure out how to spend it. And you also learn very quickly that whatever it is that you brought in, you better put a piece of it aside. So people ask me to divert, but it comes to my mind like we've established, right? Someone says to me, I want to save $100,000. I said, great. How are you doing that? Well, I'm waiting for that commission. I'm working on this deal and I'm that deal. And then I go, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. You want to save $100,000? Put $1,000 away 100 times and you have $100,000. It's that freaking simple.
So true.
But people are like, so what? 100,000? It's an unimaginable number. Well, is 1,000 an easier number for you to digest? That's way too much. I had a dear friend who I mentored and coached, and he used to wash my cars. And he came to me one day, he goes, Iddo, I'm a thousandaire. I'm like, thousandaire? Well, I've never heard this. What is it? He goes, it's the first time in my life I put away $1,000. I said, good for you, buddy. There was never any ridicule. That's a freaking achievement on his end.
A lot of money.
That's awesome.
A lot of money.
How are you going to do that again? He looked at me. I go, well, you told me you want 100,000. You're right there. You got the start. Let's do it again. So someone else says, hey, I can't. How about $500? Can you put $500 away? Now you need it 200 times. The power of number. Bring it down to the ridiculous. Same thing with making calls. People go, well, who do I call? I don't want a cold call. I said, let's start with your phone. Start with your phone. Just start dialing people that's in there. How are you? I've been thinking about you. What's going on? I've incorporated something in my life years and years ago. I believe the universe speaks to you and gives you a sign. So if you pop in my mind, which you have during COVID and multi-time and all this shit you went through, right? And you just popped in my mind. I just picked up the phone, called you. I don't know why, but the universe gave me the sign. So I reached out. And shit, 9 out of 10 times, you're like, Iddo, what a blessing that you called, right?
Absolutely.
So, how cool is that?
Absolutely.
The fact that little gesture, how much time did it take out on my part? But that individual popped in my mind, just pick up the phone, call him. Hey, how are you? I was just thinking about you.
You were phenomenal to me. Well, you always have been, but really good to me, like everything during COVID, everything during my mom, with everything with her being sick and her passing away. And I don't like to use the word busy because busy sounds like you're not, that you have too much stuff. If I say I'm busy to you, it sounds like you're not important to me. I don't think that's busy. I think you have a lot going on. You got a lot of irons in the fire.
Oh,
personally
my
and
God.
professionally. You got a
Yeah.
lot of irons in the fire, my
Yeah.
friend. And so for you to take the time, and even the coolest thing you did for me with my mom passing is, and you did this more than once, is you just left me a voicemail and said, no need to call me back. I was just thinking of you. Sherry and I love you very much. And that's all. The end. And what that did to me
Human kindness.
during the depths of trauma of my mom passing away was, I can't, words don't do it justice, how much that helped me. And that's the kind of guy you are. And that's why, thank you for coming on. This has been wonderful. It's been an hour already.
Oh, no shit.
Like, yeah, no shit.
We got to do this again. It was fun.
We will do it again very soon. And I think what I'd like to do is bring in one of your kids. You pick who.
Okay.
Yeah. You pick which one. And
Well, we'll have to do it 4 times then.
okay, done. I think that would be great. But thank you so much for coming in, my friend.
My pleasure.
Awesome.